Double sleeving is now tournament legal in Yu-Gi-Oh! So in this video I'm going to cover why you would want to double sleeve, different ways of double sleeving, and what sleeves are actually legal to use for double sleeving. Let's get into why you would want to double sleeve, and simply put, it's this gap at the top. Through this gap, dust can enter the sleeve, air can enter the sleeve, and water can enter the sleeve. Now, dust is obvious, it will discolor the top of the sleeve and make the top of the card dirty. Water, if you have a spill, there's nothing stopping water getting in the sleeve and damaging your card. And air is to do with foils. There's no reason for me to not store this common Bubble Man in a single sleeve because, aside from a bit of dust, there's no foil. And the lack of foil means that this card isn't going to warp as it's exposed to temperature and different levels of air moisture, because the entire card is going to change size at the same rate. When you add foil to that, the foil layer and the card layer change sizes at different rates, and this is what causes cards to warp. Double sleeving reduces the amount of air that can actually reach the card, so it reduces the amount of warping that can happen to your cards. So that's why you'd want to double sleeve. Now let's get into how to double sleeve. The first way to double sleeve is to use a perfect fit inner sleeve, and whether you're sleeving Yu-Gi-Oh! Size card or standard size card, I recommend using KMC Perfect Fits. So inner sleeving is great when your outer sleeve is one of the designed for heavy play or generally designed for play sleeves like a Dragon Shield, a Katana, maybe Ultra Pro. Think you don't really care about being damaged, but it's quite tough, it's designed to be shuffled. If you have an art sleeve or something that you don't want to get damaged, or a sleeve that's quite expensive, inner sleeving is probably not the right way to go. In order to inner sleeve, you take the inner sleeve itself and you insert your card upside down. This puts the gap of the sleeve at the bottom of the card. You then take your outer sleeve and insert the inner sleeved card with the gap at the bottom. Now, this will be quite a tight fit, especially for Dragon Shields, but the way you want to do this is you want to pull on the inner sleeve. If you push on the card at the top, the inner sleeve will buckle and it will push the card out of the sleeve. Then, once you get to the point where you can't really pull on it much more, I like to take a second card and insert it behind. Now, going all the way down, this will provide the support to stop the inner sleeve from buckling. You then push on the corners like this until the card is fully inserted into the sleeve, and then you take the card out of the back, making sure the card you want in the sleeve stays in. Now, either way you do this, you're potentially going to get a little gap at the top. As long as the inner sleeve extends over the bottom of the card, this is perfectly fine. And whether you use your finger for that last bit or another card, you're going to get a little air in there that you can just squeeze out or shuffle out over time. But once that's fully done, the card will be relatively airtight. No water's going to get to it because it has to go all the way down the outer sleeve and then up the inner sleeve. And you don't have to worry about the top of your card getting dirty anymore. So, as said before, this is great if you have play sleeves like Dragon Shield sleeves, or Ultimate Guard sleeves, or Ultra Pro sleeves that are just a clear color, designed for play, designed for shuffle feel. You'll get excellent results in a sleeving. The next way to double sleeve your cards is to use an oversleeve. This is great if you have art sleeves where you want to protect both your sleeve and the card. I don't actually have any art sleeves, so I'm just going to be using as Dragon Shield again. And I must preface, if you want to play in a tournament, the size of your oversleeve does matter. There are two sleeves in the KMC Character Guard Minis and the Broccoli Sleeve Protector S that are perfectly sized to do this job. I'm going to be showing it off using two standard size sleeves, which works fine for casual play, but these are not tournament legal due to the extra width of the sleeve. So, just like before, you take your inner sleeve or art sleeve and you insert your card upside down. You then take your outer sleeve and insert the full package the right way up. Now, you can see with how easy that went in, that there's not much of a seal here. There's quite a lot of play. The card will move around inside. If I shake it rigorously enough, it's going to fall out. I mean, Dragon Shields actually do a really good job of this, but you can see it's starting to slide out. There's now a gap forming at the bottom. If you use the better fit sleeves, such as character guards or sleeve protectors, this will not happen. However, the protection you get if you want to use this for standard play, or for casual play with a standard size sleeve, is that dust isn't going to touch the top of your card. You get some protection against water because, again, it has to go down the outer sleeve and then up the inner sleeve. And they're not quite as airtight, but there is less of a gap down here for air to reach the card. Now, the reason why I'm showing using a Dragon Shield matte outer sleeve is because these are possibly the best choice if you must use a standard size outer sleeve. However, it has the same problem as all standard size sleeves will have. This buckling does not take much pressure, and this will happen as you shuffle, which will very quickly deteriorate the sleeve, cause tears, and cards will get stuck in this opening. I have an Ultra Pro matte sleeve here. I use it more with board games than card games. And again, the card goes in super easily. And this one actually looks like it's a little bit better of a fit. There's still too much of a gap at the sides. But the reason I'm showing this off is because the buckling here takes even less pressure. And I have tried double sleeving like this and shuffling a deck, and it feels horrible. So if you go for double sleeving using an outer sleeve, I highly recommend getting the sleeves that actually fit the card. Those are KMC Character Guard Minis and Broccoli Sleeve Protector S. So I really would not advise using standard size sleeves. I've shown here it can work, but it is not tournament legal, so if you want to play in a tournament, that's out of the question. And the outer sleeve will buckle if you use standard size sleeves because of the extra width. The last thing I wanted to cover is how to store your cards once they've been double sleeved. To show that off, I've got a Flip and Tray 100 Plus from Ultimate Guard. This is standard size. And I have my Omni Hero deck, which is 40, 15, and 15. So 70 cards. And I also have the double sleeved card from earlier. So I found that this deck fits pretty well in 100 Plus for taking it in and out. There's a little bit of resistance, but not that much at all. In my 80 plus Flip and Tray, it fit, but it was quite tight, and if it was going to be a deck that was taken in and out a lot, I wouldn't recommend doing that, but that's because these are in Dragon Shields, which are quite thick. So if you have Dragon Shields and you are going to use it for play, I recommend getting 100 plus because of the thickness of Dragon Shields. If you have another brand, say Ultra Pro or Ultimate Guard, I recommend an 80 plus because they're not quite as thick as Dragon Shield. And if you have an oversleeved card instead of an inner sleeved card, you will need a standard size deck box regardless because, well, the oversleeves are either standard size if you're playing casually or pretty close to it if you're using the correct size. If you have a 60 plus deck box, I'm afraid that unless you don't have a side deck, this probably isn't going to fit. So, to reiterate, 60 plus will probably work fine if you don't have an extra deck or side deck. One or the other is fine, but both probably not. 80 plus if you don't have Dragon Shields, and 100 plus if you do have Dragon Shields. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in watching my journey of getting into the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene with this hero deck, then please consider checking out my Diving into Yu-Gi-Oh series on this channel. Thanks very much for watching.